OTF family, what it do, the solution. Another episode, never want to miss a Monday workout, and it is Monday, so you never want to miss a Monday workout. Super excited. I got my boy Scott Kohn coming on today. We're going to be talking about him training for a full marathon and mental health. So let me get my boy Scott up in here. Never miss a Monday workout. I'm ready. Just ready for Scott to hop on here, and we're going to get started. Scott,
My man, Gene.
what's going on?
Man, what is good, man? Monday night.
Monday night, never miss a Monday workout.
That's
Uh,
for sure. That's for sure.
well, Scott, before we get started, why don't you let the audience know, for those that don't know you, let them know who you are and what it is that we do before we hop into this interview.
All right. Sounds good, man. Well, I appreciate you having me. I got to be honest. I don't often get nervous because I talk for a living, but you had me going for a little bit before I hopped on here. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I see some familiar faces joining us. So thank you for taking the time and tuning into this once in a lifetime opportunity to kind of dive into what it's all about living with mental health, mental illness, what it's like. For those that don't know, I'm training for a full marathon November 5th. So I'm really excited about that. I'm knee deep in my training program. So I wanted to come on, talk to you, Gene, talk to the audience a little bit about how training's going, what it's like to kind of endure some of those obstacles, some of those challenges, what it's like to include OTF in that process. So yeah, I love all these folks joining, which is awesome, which is cool. Hoping that a few more join us. I see some unfamiliar faces, so let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Scott Kohn, like Gene said. Again, appreciate you having me on, man. It's really an honor. Follow your work, man, and I love what you do. I love who you inspire. So I'm proud to be here, proud to kind of share my story and talk a little bit about what it's like to live with a mental illness. So ready to jump in, man, whenever you are.
Well, Scott, I will. Let me start off by saying this. I never miss a Monday workout. Joined OTF, just started talking about my experience. Then I started working at OTF, and I started to go live on Mondays. I'll never forget, man. You were one of my number one fans, always tuning in, always giving me shout outs, telling OTF, listen, man, you need to pay this guy, okay? Uh, but it's truly an honor for me to have you on the show. I mean, the show is about the members, right? It's about people in the community that want more life. Most importantly, like we said earlier, Steve, like I'm interested in interviewing ordinary people that's doing extraordinary things. Not to say that you're ordinary. Let's be clear.
Let's be clear. I'm pretty ordinary, man. I can't get any more ordinary than this.
But Scott, I know. Listen, I know it's for some people it's very uncomfortable to talk about personal things. I'm speaking from experience. I put it all on the line. Literally, I'm always sharing my story and my experience, and it's not all good. Sometimes it's ugly. But I think our stories can help truly influence others, right? Especially our kids, right? Because I want my girls to always be able to look at me and be inspired by my journey. And I want to tell my story. I don't want anybody else to tell my story. This is why I think it's important to document your experience. So nobody else has the opportunity to tell your story but you. So Scott, let's dive. How long have you been an OTF member? Like, how'd you get involved with OTF?
So
Let's start there.
actually, I became a member back in 2018, and I was trying to get fit for my wedding. I was about to get married in a few months, and I've been to many gyms in the local area. OTF Poughkeepsie is probably 5 minutes from my house. And I was like, let me give it a shot. Let me go in there and see what it's all about. I took a class and I loved it. So I've been there ever since 2018. I took some time off during the pandemic, but yeah, I've been there ever since. I love it. I think it's not only a great workout, it's a great community. I can't tell you. I mean, Gene, you know, there's people, there's 10 people so far that are on here. 9 of them are OTF Poughkeepsie people that are just kind of in my corner. We've built a great relationship over the years. You know, that's the members, but let's talk a little bit about the coaches. Let's talk a little bit about the sales associates. They're some of the best, kindest, most sincere people that I've come in contact with. And it has kept me there for all these years, because I could go to a gym, any gym, and get the same workout. I shouldn't say the same workout, but I could get a great workout somewhere else. But it's the coaches that motivate you. They take interest in who you are and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to build. It's kind of why we're here talking a little bit about the event on Sunday. They go out of their way to really kind of just make sure that you're reaching for your goals and trying to help you accomplish what you set out for when you first walked in there 6 years ago. So yeah, I've been there ever since. I'm a 6:15, so shout out my 6:15 a.m. classes Monday through Friday. And yeah, I love it, man. It's an incredible workout. It's an incredible family. It's an incredible community, and I'm really so happy that I've joined, and I haven't looked back.
Do you have like a special moment or experience you had at OTF that kind of changed everything for you? I have one. I'm gonna share it, but I want to know for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think people, you know who I am. I think people know my story. I think people know my family, and I think it's more about relating to people on a personal level. And I don't think there's necessarily 1 or 2 moments that have stood out. There's just been several moments where I'm like, wow, these people care about who I am. Like they sincerely, and I'm not even talking about the coaches, right? I'm even going to like, you know, I go in there, I see Annabelle, I see Christina, I see Kylie, who are just, you know, there to put a smile on my face. And I'm like, wow, it's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I truthfully don't really want to be here. I'm having a shitty day. And they're like, good morning, Scott. Like, I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm at home. I feel like I'm where I need to be. And I feel like those are the moments that I'm like, wow, like this is all, this makes sense, right? Like, already got my name down on Tread 5. Like, that for me is like, they really care about who I am, and they care about wanting to see me succeed. And I think those are moments that you really can't get at any other gym. And I know this isn't like a, let's, you know, pump up OTF, but I think it's really important to talk about, because it's really where my story started. And I think it's really kind of where I let loose and allowed people to know that I don't really exercise to, you know, get buff and get big and do things that people probably go to the gym to do. I go to the gym because it's my sanity. It's my, you know, it's my therapy. It's my 1 hour where I can get to myself and really kind of just do what I need to do. And those are the moments that I'm able to kind of think like, wow, I can't really get this anywhere else, because you get people who really push you, because it's not only their job, it's what they're really passionate about. So I could always get behind people who are passionate, and it's kind of why I'm there every morning. It would be really easy, Gene. I got to be honest. It'd be easy for me to sleep in and go to work a little bit earlier, but I make it a priority. I make it a priority because I know what I'm going to get, and I know who I'm going to see, and I'm going to get the results that I'm looking for, not only physically, but mentally. So.
Well, Scott, to piggyback on you, you know, I always tell people I'm a member first.
Yeah.
Before I Orangetheory, I'm a member first. Okay. I know what it's like coming into the studio, not feeling like you want to be there, but seeing that smiling face at the front desk at 5 a.m. or 6:15 or 9:30. All right. But what changed everything for me is I went to a member mingle. I'll never forget it. I was invited to a member mingle. I'm like, you want me to hang out with fellow members? Like, that's weird, right? I went anyway, and it changed everything for me.
Yeah.
And at this member mingle, I had met some fellow members, right? And built some amazing relationships, right? Where it changed everything for me at the studio. And by the way, if you're an OTF member and you're listening and you haven't been to a member mingle, trust and believe me, okay? Going to member mingles, building relationships with the coaches, the staff, most importantly, fellow members. Okay, because members, you know how we do, Scott. Hey, how was class today? Did you show up for class? Did you PR? How are you doing? How are you feeling after that workout? When we say we are a community, truly, we're a community. When I was a member, I'm still a member, let's be clear, right? But when I wasn't on staff, if I missed the class, and you know what I'm talking about, Scott, you would get those messages. Hey, Scott, are you good? How you been? Are you all right? Not just from the members, but the staff as well. Because guess what? If I'm at the front desk and I see my boy Scott is on the list and he's not showing up, guess what? I'm texting Scott, right? Like, hey, Scott, bro, you good? You all right? This is why it's important to build relationships with people at your gym or at the studio. Because guess what? If I don't know Scott, Scott's not getting that message. You know what I'm saying? Maybe from the staff, but I just think it's important, right? Like, so OTF for me, huge opportunity. So Scott, let's talk about this marathon that you're training. All right. So you're doing the New York Marathon, okay? And for those that don't know, how many miles is a New York Marathon?
So I'm running the New York City full marathon November 5th, 26.2.
Woof.
26.2. So, yeah, I got to be honest. I've run a few half marathons before, and I always told myself, nope, not for me. Don't want to do it. Don't want to train. And I actually went to cheer on a friend last year, and I was like, I'm in, sold. We sat at mile 20 for a few hours, and it was a party. It was something that I've never seen before. I never thought I could get into it. And let me be very clear, Gene. I played baseball, high school, college. I don't think I ran more than like home to first, maybe home to second once in a while. Running wasn't for me. We'll talk a little bit about why I got into it, but I'm excited, man. I love the challenge. I'm in this running program for almost 5 weeks into a 16-week program. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge, but sign me up. Love a little bit of a challenge. I love a little bit of a push. So 26.2 miles. Oof. And yeah, looking forward to it. I know there's going to be a lot of people there, and yeah, I got a lot of motivation behind me. So looking forward to it.
Come out. I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but if people want to come support you, Scott, how do they do so?
Yeah, so the New York City Marathon is not something that you could just go sign up for, right? It's you got to get in one of a few different ways. You could get in by signing up through the lottery. If you don't get in through the lottery, you got to raise money for a charity of your choice. They give you a whole list of charities that you can join. And so I chose NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And I have to raise a certain amount of money to get in, but certainly if you know me, I want to exceed that amount for sure, which will essentially help and support people who are suffering with mental illness, their families, with free trainings, education, support. We'll even provide some advocates for those people who are dealing with a mental illness. It'll provide, it provides a free hotline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you are in crisis or if you know somebody's in crisis. So all of those funds, 100% of what I raise will go directly to NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness. How can you support? A lot of you who are listening probably has already supported me, but there's a link in OTF Poughkeepsie's bio that will send you directly to that fundraiser. We're having a fundraising fit fundraiser this Sunday at 10:45. I want to shout out Eugene for raising your hand and wanting to help.
Sure.
Coach Amelia teaching that class. It's a free class. We're asking people who come to give $20 towards supporting me, supporting NAMI. And if you can't make it, you can't make that class. I know we got to cut off registration, but if you can't make it and still want to join, still want to volunteer, still want to donate some money, check out OTF Poughkeepsie on Instagram. A link in their bio will bring you directly to that page. And honestly, Gene, it's so hard for me sometimes to even ask, for money and ask people to donate. But the amount of support, the amount of people who have been like, whatever you need, man, whatever you need. You want me to coach a class? You want me to DJ? You want me to knock on people's doors? You want me to make phone calls? I'll do whatever you need me to do. And it has been just an outpouring of support that honestly, I can't even look in the camera and be like, thank you everyone for coming on here tonight, or thank you everyone for donating your money. It goes far beyond that. And it's one of the reasons, and it's one of the motivating factors that allow me to kind of push through every day, where I'm like, I don't really want to get up and go for a run, or, oh my goodness, I got to run 26.2 miles. There's no doubt that I'm going to finish, because all of you who are here, today and raise money and raise funds, I will never let you down, because I can't thank you enough. So check out OTF Poughkeepsie. They're link in their bio if you do want to donate. Call OTF Poughkeepsie if you want to get into that free class. If you're on here and you're like, what are they even talking about, Orangetheory? Give them a call. Sign up for a free class. It will change your life. It will change your life.
So just to be clear, okay, this coming Sunday, we got a fundraising event at the Poughkeepsie studio at 10:30, okay? We can only fit 36 people in the class, okay? Only 36 people, okay? Class starts at 10:30 sharp. You want to get there at least by 10:15. It's going to be a lot of energy. Coach Amelia is going to be coaching the class. I'm going to be DJing the class. The class may already be full. I don't know, right? Because last time I looked, I think there's some people already on the wait list. So don't wait. Get on it now. And like Scott said, it's a suggested donation of $20. Now, let's be clear. You can give more than 20. You can give more than 20. We won't be mad at you, okay? It's for a good cause. Come out. And now, Scott, I wanna dive into the mental health aspect, okay? I was completely blown away when I read your story. I can resonate with your story because I went through a similar situation. And just to be clear, guys, a lot of people that go to OTF are broken, and you wouldn't know. I was one of them. I used to go to class, Scott, and I would be on the rower crying, but you couldn't tell because I'm sweating, right? I leave when I go to OTF. If I have an issue, if I have a problem, that's when I go harder. But listen, the workout just helps me deal with the mental aspect of my life, the emotional aspect of my life, and so, Scott, tell me what was it like? Back in September '98, you lost your mom. If you don't mind, can we dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm somebody who lives with a mental illness, and I'll be the first to admit. Every day is a little bit of a challenge, but let's kind of just rewind, set the stage a little bit. I don't want to get too much into it, but yeah, in September '98, I was 12 years old. old. It was honestly, Gene, it was my second day of middle school. So I was transitioning to a new school. I was kind of trying to find myself. My mom suddenly passed away at a very young age of a very rare liver disease, and it rocked my world. I didn't even know at the time how badly it rocked my world. But I was starting a new school. I needed to get my shit together. I needed to kind of like figure out like what I was like gonna have for lunch on Monday. And I was dealing with grief and I didn't know how to deal with it. More importantly, Gene, my dad didn't know how to deal with it. Turns out that he wasn't really able to physically, mentally support my sister, myself. And so through the years, fast forward a little bit, my dad had some physical ailments, had some mental ailments as well, and passed away mentally sooner than he physically passed away, if that makes sense. So my sister and I, we were like forced to kind of fend for ourselves for a long time throughout high school, throughout college, post-college. And throughout those years, I didn't really have the time to kind of like step back and be like, wow, I'm struggling. Because I just had to keep going. I had to like figure out a way to like bust through those barriers and bust through those challenges, because the only alternative was failure. The only alternative was like to give up and just kind of throw the white flag, but I couldn't do that. I didn't want to do that. So I was like going and going and going and just really trying to survive, get through college, figure out like what I was going to eat one night, figure out like where I was going to sleep one night. I'll be very honest. I lived in my car for a few weeks at a time because I was like, I just got to like figure out how I'm going to get to work the next day. So all these years, all these things, all these traumas that happened throughout my life, I didn't have time to like focus on me. And then, you know, there was a point in my life where I was like, I hit rock bottom. And if anyone is on this call where you have ever felt like you hit rock bottom, you know what rock bottom is like. I hit rock bottom and I was like, I got to take some time and figure out myself. I got to figure out like how go back 1998. How do I grieve? How do I deal with loss? How do I deal with mistrust? How do I deal with people leaving? How do I deal with failure? How do I deal with all of those things that I dealt with? All those traumas caught up to me. And I was like, I need some serious help. I was really scared. I was really embarrassed, Gene. I was embarrassed because all of those people, 1998 on, post-college, they helped me, man. They picked me up. They gave me food. They put food on the table. They opened up their doors for me. I was embarrassed. I felt like I let them down. I was like, I'm not in a really good place, and I'm sorry that I'm at this point. And I remember one person, they were like, sorry, you let us down. We wish you would have raised your hand years ago and asked for help. And I'm like, oh, I didn't really even think about that. I'm often concerned about what people's perception of me are. And I hate when I feel like I let people down. And that's true to this day. I hate when I feel like maybe I'm not at my best or I'm having a really bad day, but I don't want to let you down. So I'm going to kind of put a shield on and I'm going to kind of just pretend for a little bit so that I can kind of make sure that I don't feel that way. That's how I have felt my entire life. I didn't realize what a mental illness was until I was like, yeah, I really need to get some help. I don't need like a friend to talk to. I need a professional that I can really, really tap into and figure out what this is going on in my brain. And I'm so thankful, man. My family, they are in the healthcare field. My mom, she was a registered nurse for years, even until her last day on earth. She was a nurse, a registered nurse. My sister is an RN, and my other sister, eldest sister, I should say, she is now a nurse practitioner in the behavioral health field. kudos to her. She went back to school, incredible. But she's a nurse practitioner in the healthcare field, and she took me in. She was like, listen, you're not going anywhere. I was living in my car. I was living on vitamin water and black and white cookies. And she was like, you're coming to live with me, and we're going to admit you into an inpatient facility. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but if that means help, sure, I'm all in. I'm giving you everything that I have right now. I'm not going to go to work. I'm not going to do anything except get help. And I stayed there. It was 28, almost 29 days up in Kingston. Now it's Westchester Medical, but it was St. Benedictine Hospital. I will never forget those 29 days. It was intense. It was every day. It was therapy. It was medications. It was DBT skills. It was breathing exercises. It was, I mean, you name it, I did it. And I was like, whatever it takes, because I can't go on any longer behind this shell, behind this person that I don't even know who it is anymore. I was doing things, I was saying things, I was acting in ways that you would have been like, who is this person? So I gave it all up, and I was like, get me some help. And I'm thankful that my sister allowed me that opportunity to stay with her. She didn't give up on me. Drove me every day, came to visit. There's steps in this program very similar to, your Alcoholic Anonymous, program, and reaching out to people and really kind of diving into all of those traumas that really started back in 1998 with my mom passing away, my dad passing away, losing our home. Just there were so many things that I don't really want to get into, but it was more or less just, it built and built and built and built until, man, I gotta be honest. I'm actually fortunate that I'm even like here to talk about it, because there were times where I was like, wow, like, I gotta like figure out how I'm gonna like tell the gym that I'm gonna go work out, but I'm really just here because I haven't showered in like 6 days, and I need to like just use their shower to like freshen up. So that's kind of where I am. That's kind of like, my whole purpose behind doing what I do and trying to like allow people to hear this story. And people are probably like, man, this guy, he's all over the place. But like, it gives me a platform. It gives me an opportunity, because at the beginning of this, you were like, you're just an ordinary person. I am. I'm really just an ordinary person that has had an incredible amount of support. But I also know there's a lot of people out there that don't have an incredible amount of support, that are probably listening and are like, wow, like, what do I do? How do I identify like with a mental illness? I was diagnosed, Gene, coming out of that 28-day, inpatient with bipolar depression and severe generalized anxiety disorder. And I was like,
That
oh
mean?
my
Hold
gosh,
on.
I'm crazy.
What does that mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bipolar and what was bipolar
And
and
generalized anxiety disorder. So, at first when the doctor was like, Scott, you are a clear candidate for these two diagnoses, and the first one was bipolar depression, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm crazy. And he was like, no, you have extreme highs and extreme lows. And it's so true, because there are days, Gene, even today, because I still every day kind of face some of these challenges where I get really excited. I'm really high. And then out of nowhere, I am like, I'm down. I'm a little depressed. I don't really feel like doing anything. I feel like being by myself. Signs and symptoms of bipolar depression are, risky behavior, excessive spending, again, being down, withdrawing, absenteeism, and even sometimes presenteeism, where absenteeism I would miss things. My friends would invite me, and I'm like, I'm withdrawing. I don't want to be around you. I want to just be by myself. I want to close the blinds. I want to be under the covers, and I don't want to do anything. And then presenteeism is, I would actually be like, okay, I have to go. I haven't seen you in 3 years. I would physically be there, but I mentally wouldn't be there. And they would be like, why is Scott so quiet? Why isn't he talking? Why isn't he? Those were all clear signs and symptoms. And even, Gene, like years and years ago, you know, when I was diagnosed with this, I would like reach out to people and they were like, Scott, this was pretty clear to us back in high school. So yeah, bipolar depression, extreme highs, extreme lows, generalized anxiety disorder. You know, a lot of you probably know Scott Kohn as this outgoing social person who loves to be around people, but there's a side of me that I get really nervous and anxious about being around a lot of people. What to say? What are they thinking? Are they talking about me? What's their perception of me? Are they mad at me? Are they angry with me? And all of those racing thoughts constantly, day in and day out. I can't tell you how many times, even to this day, you know, I have a huge, you know, my perception, what people kind of think about me is important. You know, I really want to make sure that, you know, I make people, you know, I make people proud, and I have those thoughts constantly in and out of my head every day. So those are two of the major diagnoses that, you know, that I left there with. And I got to be honest, I was on some severe medication, and medication's sometimes a stigma, right? A lot of people are like, you're on pills, you're on medication. Medication's a major stigma, right? People are like, oh, you should. Medication really helped me. Medication, I needed to kind of like bust through that like depression door, where the medication really kind of stabilized me as a person, really helped me. And I was on medication for a really, really, really long time. And with that, the support of therapists and psychiatrists and family really kind of helped me get through that really difficult, dark place in my life.
So Scott, you talked about the medication. I kind of want to jump into that a little bit because there is a stigma. People think that you shouldn't be taking meds. You know, there's some people that just don't agree with it. And just speaking from personal experience, I was on meds as well. After I lost my mom in 2020, severe depression. They put me on meds, and I kind of felt like a zombie on these meds. I didn't kind of feel like myself. So, what was your experience with the meds?
Let me also say, Gene, there's a stigma around mental health.
Sure.
Period. You know, whether it's generational, whatever the case may be, but yeah, there's definitely a stigma around medication. My advice, Gene, when it comes to medication is find what's right for you. You know, there's you know, it definitely takes even a few weeks to get into your bloodstream to really kind of kick in. You know, did I feel a certain way when I was taking medication? Yeah, no doubt. I didn't want to feel the way I felt when I was at my lowest. That I know. So medication really, really helped me. It took a little bit to kind of get the medication right. I was on a few antidepressants. I was on a few mood stabilizers, and it took some time to kind of stabilize and kind of balance, you know, each other out and find what's right for you. That would be my advice. The dosage, the medication, find what's right. Talk to your doctor. If you feel like you're experiencing some signs and symptoms, and sometimes, you know, even a low dose of something every day can be helpful. And just know what's right for you, what's right for your body, what's right for your mind. If you are in a state where you don't like not feeling like yourself, or you feel like that zombie state, could be maybe just because the dosage is too high. But again, my advice is, you know, I live with it every day. I'm not a doctor. So find the right balance.
Mm. Scott, it's interesting, right? Because to be dealing with this, losing your mom at 14, like it's just still like at 14, you should truly be enjoying like your youth, right? Like, but you didn't get that. Um, Not only that, like, to kind of be your siblings to be spread apart, right? Like most people, I don't want to say most people, right? I'll say that's not a story that you hear too often. You know what I'm saying? And there's a 14-year-old now that may be dealing with that lost or dealing with the depression. What advice would you have for them? At such a young age, it's just you're not really mature enough to even be handling these things. Like how did and Scott, man, listen, I lost my mom, bro. I know this, you know, it's tough, bro. Like it's heavy.
You bring up a really great point though, because again, let's talk about it for what it is. But my therapist, we did this, and again, I had no idea what some of these questions that you were going to ask me, but my therapist had asked me, if you can go back and talk to your younger self, what would you say, and what would be some of the advice you would give him? And you know, I just stopped and I was like, you know, I got you. It's going to be okay. Um, you're right, Gene. At 14, it was earlier than 14. I think it was, 13 years old. I feel like I got robbed a little bit. I was dealt a bad deck of cards, but even now at my age, I tell myself all of the time, like, don't do it. Don't make excuses. No one is going to feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
And I was just in the car with my wife the other day. We were talking about something very similar, and she was like, people love a good comeback story.
Ooh.
And I don't know. I'm now a firm believer that, Gene, this happened for a reason. And yeah, like there are days where like I'm really in need of my mom, and I'm 36 years old, wife, a daughter who's 2 years old. I'm like, yeah, I would love to talk to my mom right now. I would love to remember like what she even looked like, or like what memories I had with my dad and my family, but I can't tell you what those are. And that's really hard for me to even say. But now I have a beautiful family that, like, I get to experience things with like my daughter, and I'm like, I hope that she just realizes that like her mom and dad are doing everything in their power to make these memories last a lifetime. And I don't know, Gene. I don't know what I thought and remembered when I was 13 or 14 years old. I remember feeling lost. I just had people like grasp onto me and tell me that they got my back. And that's how I feel now, of like trying to help others and do things that people are like, wow, you work so much, or wow, like you're doing so many different things. It's because like, man, if I didn't have that when I was 13, 14 years old, just trying to live a life of a middle school, seventh grader, wanting to play sports and find some girls I could like make out with or something like that, then I don't know what I would do. But I'm here now. I'm so grateful that I am here. There were times where I didn't, it was pretty dark. It was pretty dark, but I had some great resources. I had some great supports. I heard a lot of people along the way. I'll be very clear. I heard a lot of people lost a lot of friendships and relationships because of, things that I did, or actions that I did, or things that I said. But I still have an incredible amount of resources and supports. And what I would tell that 14-year-old kid who may be listening now, that maybe just lost a parent, I would tell them that you should reach out and ask for help. sooner rather than later. Not to let it build, but just know that there's light at the end of every tunnel. And no matter how dark and how dreary those days can get, there's a lot of support and people out there, whether it's professionals, whether it's your network of supports. Like, don't give up, man. Like, don't give up, because people will remember that feel good comeback story. And I hope one day when you're 36 years old with a wife and daughter, you can provide a life that's unimaginable for them. And they will look back and be like, now it all makes sense. Mom and dad did this because they know how important it is to create those forever memories.
So Scott, what's your daughter's name?
Madison.
Madison.
She's 2, man. She just turned 2 in June, and she's, man, talk about like timing. Like, people are like, oh, it goes by so quick. Man, she was like just born like the other day, and now she's upstairs. She's like, giving me attitude, and like, I'm like, I can't do anything right. She's mom, 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 mom. But she's incredible, man. She talk about, again, I'm not really religious. I don't want to get into religion, but I firmly believe that she was sent to my wife, Michelle, and I to cure and give us someone that is so positive, who is so just brings joy, is a light at that end of that tunnel I was just talking about. It all makes sense. Like, God was like, listen, I'm going to like give you a lot of really bad cards along the way. But if you can kind of like understand how to like handle those cards, I'm going to reward you. And her name is Madison. And she has just been every day, laughter and joy and sunshine and rainbows, a few tears, of course, and a few dirty diapers along the way. But she's incredible. She's incredible.
So Scott, what would you want Madison to know about you, right? She's going to see this video, let's say 20 years from now, when she's 22 or 21, which will be a different Scott at that time, right? What would you want her to know about you?
Again, you kind of opened it with like your daughter's Gene, and it like struck a chord, because I want her to know the real me. I want her to know how difficult it was, to kind of go through life. But I also want her to know that life's not easy. She's going to deal with heartache and heartbreak, and she's going to deal with challenges along the way. And I hope she can one day, and I know she will, but appreciate that, Gene, I work like 3, 4, sometimes I volunteer like 5 jobs, and it's just, I'm all over the place. But there's only one reason why I do what I do, and that's because I want to give her a life that I never had. And I want her to know that life's not easy, but how you come out on the other end will define who you are. And Daddy and Mommy showed me how to do that. And life's not easy, but you gotta work. You gotta work. You gotta work, and you gotta work, and you don't stop working until you're happy. And that may take a lot of time. That may take a lot of people to help you get there, but I want her to know that, we'll always be there to help her. And know that one day she'll probably have a mental illness too. And we'll help her find those supports and resources and get her back, just like people got my back. And we won't let go. We won't let her down. And again, I felt like I got a bad deck growing up, and I was robbed a little bit of my childhood. And I pray and I work as hard as I can, 16, 17 hours sometimes. And I'm like, oh man, this sucks. I'd love to be home, but my daughter won't experience that. So yeah, that's what I would tell her. I know she's probably listening now, and you had mentioned 20 years from now she may watch this video, but I believe Jean, even at 2, like she picks up on things. Like she's very intuitive, she's very smart. She listens, she observes, she processes just like I process. It's one of the things that I know she takes from me, and I'm like, she ambulance goes by, who drives it? Daddy drive. Like she's very intuitive, very smart, and I wanted her to see that from the day she was born, that you got to work at this. No one's going to give you a home to live in. No one's going to put food on your table except for you. So yeah.
Scott, what's your wife's name?
Michelle.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about Michelle a little bit. This wasn't in the notes, Scott. This wasn't in the notes.
I'm afraid to know what these next questions are going to be.
So how has Michelle supported you?
Gene, it's probably why we're so compatible, and it's why we're married, because she often tells me, like, why me? Why didn't you experience some of these characteristics or some of these traits with me? Because Gene, one of the things that one of the signs and symptoms of my diagnosis through the years was like I would push people away. I would put up a wall, a barrier, because I knew that if we got close, you were going to leave me at some point.
So you had abandonment issues, to be clear.
Of course. Gee, my mom passed away when I was 13. My dad soon thereafter, mentally, physically, and just, I knew like the people that I loved and cared about so much, I would push them farther away, because I knew at some point in our lifetime we weren't going to make it. And so I put up barriers, I put up walls, and I still do. I have friends, I have some really close family members that I still have a difficult time trying to break through some of those barriers. I'm not perfect. I'm not cured. I still live with these mental health illnesses every day. And so, she does. She asks me all the time, like, why didn't you do? And I'll be very honest. It was soon, right after my dad had passed away, I was driving back up to Poughkeepsie, where I live now, and I had nobody up here. I had no friends. I had no family members. And I was on Match.com, and it was the first person that I connected with. It was my wife, Michelle. And I was honestly, this is no joke. You may laugh at this, but like I was in it because I just needed a friend. I needed like somebody to talk to. My dad had just passed away. And yeah, my wife, we connected on Match. We talked for a little bit. We decided to meet. She stood me up. And I was like, that's it. One and done. You're out. You're done. And she knew it because I had messaged her, like it was very short. It was like, no worries. Like, see you like whenever we see each other. And she was like, are you mad? Are you upset? I'm like, no, don't even care. And it was like a day later. She's like, I'm so sorry. Can we just meet tomorrow? And it was like Sunday. I'm like, if you want, like, I got nothing to do. So we met. We sat down, we talked for like 3 hours. We didn't eat. We just sat there. We talked. We were at the Mill right off of Vassar Road. And we talked for like 3 hours. And one of the things that we talked about was mental illness. And I'm like, listen, I'm not going to play games. Like I'm like at a point in my life where I don't like want to mess around or play any games. And I have to like just let you know that these are some of the things that like I experience at times. And she was like, oh my gosh, me too. I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, I struggle sometimes, and mental illness runs in my life, and I don't want to speak for her. But we connected. We just talked, and we were very relatable. And there was something about her that I didn't want to let go, and I felt like I can really, kind of tap into and really, uh, yeah. So it was a few days later, we decided to go on another date, date number 2. We had a great time, talked for hours, and she was like, listen, I got to be honest, I'm going away for 2 weeks. And I was like, what? I don't know if I could deal with that. Like, for 2 weeks. Went up to see her on vacation. She came back, and that was it. We spent every day together ever since. And I don't often tell her this, but she's definitely my best friend. Like, we have created some incredible memories over 7 years of being together, and like, she's gotten me through some of my really, I wouldn't say darkest times, but she's gotten me through some of my really most challenging times, and she's stuck with me because it could have been really easy for her to kind of like let go and just like, man, this guy needs some, he's out there. But she stuck by me, and she still does. We still have some dark days and some challenging times, but she's been incredible. Her family has been incredible. To kind of understand somebody from a different perspective is not easy, and it's still a work in progress. Just because it's really difficult to kind of get to know somebody, but really try and understand who they are when it comes to dealing and living with the mental illness. So there's definitely some work to be done, but they're supportive, they're encouraging, they're certainly a family that is way different than mine because, I mean, let's call it what it is. I didn't really have much growing up, but it's been really refreshing to kind of see what a family dynamic looks like. And it's been an incredible journey to watch Madison grow up with cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents who really adore and care for her. And I am always 100% behind that. So yeah, they're great. They're incredible. I'm really blessed, and I know that. I don't ever like take this for granted. I sometimes wake up and look outside my backyard, and I'm like, wow, like I lived on vitamin water and like black and white cookies from a 7-Eleven after work. And I was like, sometimes I don't even think I paid for it because I didn't really have the money for it. And now I'm like, wow, like this is crazy. But you know, uh, good things happen to people who work at it. And over the years, Gene, I've been able to kind of really cut out cut the trim, right? Cut the fat. And I don't think it takes a lot to be nice. I don't think it takes a lot to be kind. And that's what I take from all of this. I take, like, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what stories people have to share, but it doesn't take much to just be a nice person and be really kind and be sincere, be genuine. And I think that'll, help the world kind of get to a better place, because there's a really big stigma when it comes to mental health. And I'm fortunate that I'm able to still have the supports that I have because of people like my wife and her family and my sisters and nieces and nephews that I just truly adore. And I just know that, it comes because, there's some good in the world, and there are some really kind people out there that it's nice to kind of see that. It's refreshing to see that there's just some really good in the world. And that's kind of what I take. And I hope that people are listening and they're like, what's the message? What are we trying to talk about here tonight? And it's overcoming, it's perseverance, it's trials and tribulations that like you can achieve and do things that, you know, that are endless. And I hope that that's been clear and evident here tonight.
Scott, what do you want your legacy to be?
What do I want my legacy to be? I often think about that. I want people to, I want to do, that's a great question, Gene. You threw me off. I want people to know that somebody overcame obstacles and trials and tribulations through hard work, by being genuine, being real, being honest and open, being caring, being able to give back to others what they gave me. And that was truly a second chance on life. You know, I want people to remember me as somebody that has a really big heart. And I wear it on my sleeve. I do. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I push people to be better versions of themselves because it fuels me. It fuels me to watch people grow, watch people succeed, and do more, do better. And I do. I want people to remember me for that. Know that, you know, hard work is pretty rare nowadays, but I'll always make sure that I take care of my family, my wife, and my daughter, and truly was somebody that didn't give up because of the support that they gave me. And that was something that I'll never forget. I'll never forget it. And I'll work as hard as I can to make people proud. That includes Michelle and Madison. So, you know, it's interesting, Gene, you asked me that question and I'm thinking to myself, like, I had a member, gosh, I even think she may be on here. You know, I shared my story on social media to raise money, to raise awareness for this marathon. And I saw her at the gym the next day, and it was like 5:45 in the morning, and she put a comment on the fundraising page, and the comment just read, "You are a hero." And I came into the gym the next day, and she gave me a really big hug, and she just started to cry, got very emotional. Sure enough, so did I. But I was like, what did your comment mean? And she said, "You're a hero." She said, "My son is going through the same thing that you did, and we're in it right now." And I had him sit down and I had him read your story and just told him that we're going to get help and everything is going to be okay. And she said, "You're my hero." And I was like, I didn't really think about it like that, but you don't know what people are going through, and to be vulnerable, to share your story, to be authentic. I do. I want that to be my legacy. I'm not a hero in any sense. I've done wrong. I've done harm. I've done some bad things in this world, but I know that there are erasers on pencils for a reason, and we can all overcome those, you know, obstacles and challenges, and now be able to help other people. And I think that's what I'm most proud about, is like being able to reach and touch and talk on different outlets and on different platforms to be able to help and support other people. A family member that's really close to me was experiencing something very similar less than a year and a half ago. And, you know, just to say, like, I want to walk alongside you on this journey is just something that I'm really proud of saying, because there are do you know, 1 in 5 people are dealing with mental illness.
That
And
one more for the people. One more time for the people.
1 in 5 people are dealing with mental illness. And Gene, the other 4 people are their support systems, their friends, their families. They don't know what it's like. And I just want people to know that it's okay to ask for help. And my legacy is I would love for people to know that, it's time to stop and get help and ask people that really want to care and show that they care. And so it's true.
I got a comment and then last question for you. And we're going to wrap this up. Thank you, brother, for being on here and
Man, this is
sharing.
great, man. I feel like we could do like a weekly, I'm just checking out some of these people on here. I don't even Instagram Live. This is like new for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're going.
It's the wave. But listen, I want to say this to you, Scott. I believe this from the bottom of my heart. Listen, man, your mom and your dad are proud of you, man. They are, bro. I'm proud of you. Your wife and your daughter, and you should be proud of you. You've overcome the worst. And the reason why I believe is because God knew that it's going to take a special person to be able to deal with it. And your story is going to inspire others, man. And it inspires me. We don't know who we're touching on this platform. But my last question to you, Scott, is what do you want to say to your mom, man?
Oh, man.
What you want mom to know? Because she's listening, man.
Yeah. I'm living your legacy. You created me, and I'm living your legacy. I'm doing it for you. I don't remember what my mom looked like, but I remember little things that triggers memories. I remember, like, little things here and there are triggers of who my mom was. And one of those triggers, are, holidays and things that she loved most. My mom was a nurse, man. My mom cared so much about strangers. And she has instilled that in me. I want her to know that I'm living her legacy and that she did an incredible job, even if it was for only 12 years. She did an incredible job with what she had. And, I'm proud that I didn't give up so that she can see me grow and succeed. So that's what I would say to her. She did good, man. She did good. And I appreciate your words. I appreciate, this opportunity to kind of talk and be vulnerable. I know we kind of promoted it and just said that this was going to be raw and this was going to be emotional, but I had no idea what some of these questions or thoughts or emotions would trigger. I just want to leave with, just some advice. And that's like, it's okay to ask for help. When you feel like you're at your darkest or you feel like you're down, like, just know that there are people who want to help. There are people who want to help and just listen and talk to. The 3 hardest words that I ever had to say in my entire life was, I need help. But I felt like I was able to release the demons and release the weights that were all over my body. And so I just want to kind of leave with that and just tell people that, you know, it's okay to ask for help. We need to end the stigma when it comes to mental health, mental illness. You know, don't be afraid to reach out. If you don't know who to talk to, there's free counselors out there. Doesn't need to be a mental health professional, but I hope that one person on this call has somebody that they can connect with on a level that can help and support them go through some of their most challenging days. Yeah, this has been quite the hour, man. And I can't thank you enough. I hope that people, you know, heard and listened and know that there's some good in the world. There are some good people in the world, and it doesn't hurt, man. I appreciate that, man. And that's why, you know, I always tell people, like, just be nice, just be kind, you have no idea, man, what somebody is going through. You have no idea. And that's why I'm so appreciative of, like, the people at OTF, because, like, you know, I go in there sometimes, I'm like, man, I don't want to be here. And then it changes, the dynamic changes instantly. Just being kind, being sincere, you know. And that's why, like, when people are mean and disheartening, and I have a really difficult time, but I don't let it affect me. I just cut it off immediately, shut it down, because I don't have time for it. I don't have room for it. And so anyway, man, I know it's getting late. This was
great
stuff, man.
I appreciate you being on the show. You're gonna be a frequent guest. We're gonna come back on here because we want to listen. Your marathon is in November, so we got some.
Let's go. Yeah, let's do this, man. Hey, one last push. Sunday, 10:45, OTF Poughkeepsie.
Yes.
Fit fundraiser. My man Gene is gonna DJ. I don't even, man. You gotta, like, we gotta talk about a playlist or something. Coach Amelia, shout out to Coach Amelia. Sure. She didn't have to do this, but again, what can I do? How can I help? Are the words that people all over are just, like, expressing, and it's just incredible. 10:45 Sunday, Orangetheory, Poughkeepsie. Free class, suggested donation, $20. A link, Orangetheory Poughkeepsie. If you can't make it, donate. If you have donated and you just want to come and laugh and listen and have a good time, that's what we're here for.
In closing, let me just say, 2 grown men live on Instagram was just crying.
Yo,
okay, it's all right. Like, it's okay to talk to people and to be vulnerable and to share your story. It's okay. There's no shame. I still got my man card, even though I shed a tear with my man Scott over here. Okay. So with that being said, guys, before I go, you already know what doesn't challenge you doesn't change you. One more time. What doesn't challenge you doesn't change you. Only 2 type of people in this world: those that make it happen and those that make excuses. Your body's a slave to the mind. Your goals don't care about how you feel. They don't care about the weather, your situation, your circumstance. The only thing your goal cares about is results. Listen, guys, nobody owes you a damn thing. You owe it to yourself. Me and Scott got more life. Come get you some. Scott, I appreciate you, brother. I'm going to see you this Sunday. Listen, do me a favor. Send me your requests now. You can just text them to me. I'll make sure I'll have those songs on deck for you. Okay? Pre-book your class, Poughkeepsie, 10:45. I don't know if there's any spots left. Even if there's not, you can still donate. Go to the Poughkeepsie Instagram page. Or you can just DM myself or Scott. We'll send you the link on how to donate. All right? With that being said, we love you guys. All right? I'm out. Scott, my guy. I'm going to see you on Sunday, baby. All right?
Thank you, everybody.
All right. I'm out. Peace.